Looks like it's happening.
We're live, John. Rayma, we are live. This is what Peace Through Unity looks like as we
Yeah.
gather in day 7 of World Unity Week. Welcome, everyone. I know it's been an amazing day again. There's been so much happening in the field. And, John, this is a real passion of yours, these synergy projects. And how do we get to the next level beyond our own initiatives to work on those synergized impact projects? So I'm really, really excited about this. Mr. John Raymer,
Yeah.
co-founder of the Sign Network, co-producer, co-originator of World Unity Week, and just everything you do, John, is in partnership. So really, really excited about where we're going to get with this discussion today.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, you know, Ben, we know this story well. This is grown up by God. Summer Joy Raymer's here. I get a little excited whenever I see her name even popping up into the room because we've heard from so many different places that we know that we're not headed in the right direction and that we won't be, and things won't be different unless we do things differently. And that was so apparent to me. The Compassion Games was one of my. In fact, here's Brother Phil coming in, who's the chairman of the Compassion Games. So Scott's coming. It's great. And I was so frustrated running a nonprofit, and we've done pretty good, served thousands, millions of people around the world through cities participating. But I would go talk to folks as an NGO, and say, hey, here's what I'm doing. They say, wow, that's really great. Glad to hear you doing it. Let me talk to the board. And if the board approves, we'll add your logo to our website and declare that we're partners of yours. And I know that was a kind thing to do. It was a good thing to do. It was a vote of affirmation for what we were doing, but I just didn't feel like it was really going to change anything. And it became clear to me that I needed to figure out how we really break out of the silos that we're all talking about, and how do we actually make change happen together. And I still don't really know how to do that, except I'm watching it happen. And so these are some kind of reports from the field, and my thoughts were where we can demonstrate and show it, then we can learn from it and we can see what has happened there. Like I was talking just a few minutes ago about how our individual interests and our common interests, how did that happen? How does individual interests become common interests? And how do I not feel isolated, and as opposed to being in this situation where I'm sitting here waiting to share about my thing. So I've learned enough self-control to wait, but then when it comes my time, all I could be doing is pitching, trying to get everyone to be interested in what I'm doing, and then either put your time here or more money here. I said that's not working. How do we go from what I call pitching to pooling, where we together realize there's a common pool? And you know what Anna Marie said to me today? If I'm interested in your interests, and like I'm looking at you, Jim Garrison, right now, because I so care about what you care about. If I can make a safe enough place and we can have a safe enough place to talk about your individual interests, all of a sudden they become my interest. Because the truth is, I want to see your dream happen. I know you well enough. If humanity rises, that's a good thing for me. And that's true for so many things. A silent minute, how do we deepen that? How do we, Dad, you've transformed my life. That project together, my relationship with the other side of the veil, for what Summer and I have gone through in our own lives with the loss of her dad, my father-in-law. But that ability to be influenced by each other and to weave together, it's like music. When you get together in a room, when you're going to make music together, it's not always so clear how that pulse arises and how you start to blend and dynamically with each other. And I see that we're doing that. And I've used the term synergy projects to kind of define a kind of project that's a project about a project. So the idea when I heard what Nina was doing and the dream for what's happening in turning Auschwitz into One Humanity Institute's City of Hope. And I said, wow, that is unbelievable. I said, how can we get behind that? And for me, that synergy project became Teeming Up to build House of Hope. And meeting with Nina, it wasn't any disrespect to Nina, but said, hey, Nina, I want to be an advocate for what you're doing. We want to create a container in which the project that you're doing can have the support from others around me. Now, I didn't have to propose that. There were already a lot of people like you, Dot, and Fumi, and I want to talk about that. So this is the first example I want to present of what I'm calling, this is what peace through unity looks like. And then when I saw the connection, Fumi, with Hiroshima and the work that you've been doing in the Goy Peace Foundation, I said, oh my God, who on earth wouldn't be interested in a story that reframes Hiroshima and Auschwitz to become actually an inspiration for how we can bring hope back to life? So what I'm hoping to do, Dot, I see you're here. And Fumi, are you here too?
No, it's me. I look like Fumi.
Okay, all right, all right. But Dot, I'd love you to share about this teaming up to build the House of Hope and what we're learning about how we make synergy happen.
Well, Nina's here too. Pull
Oh,
Nina.
oh my gosh, she is here.
Nina's here. Yeah,
Where is she? Okay, we got to make her a co-host.
please.
Yes. Oh, that's so good that she's here. Thank you, Nina. Okay, let's add her to
Well,
the.
what happened for Fumi and myself, we'll let Nina give the synopsis overview, but what happened for Fumi and myself is when the Ukraine-Russia crisis broke forth, both Fumi and I said, well, we need to do something. And, Father James, or Brother James Twyman stepped up and said yes. And so we did a series of events and called in our colleagues, both Russian and Ukrainian. But almost immediately, Nina was on the scene, right, with Father James Twyman. And didn't you go to Poland like 2 days later, right?
Mm-hmm.
So maybe you want to offer the overview, because I love this pitch to pool. We pooled our resources and whatever our skill set was. And it didn't take us 5 minutes. Okay, you do this, you do that, you do the other thing. Nina was on her way, and the rest is history in the making. So Nina, why don't you give the synopsis? It's beautiful.
Surely. My pleasure, great honor. And it has been a fabulous canoe ride into the future because we really did it. And that's the important piece. I remember about 2-3 years ago, Dot and I were sitting in the living room daydreaming, what does peace look like? What is it really if we were to create a blueprint? It was more than 2-3 years ago, maybe 10. I don't know anymore. But anyway, we've been actualizing the concept of what does a city of hope look like? And then we ended up, I got inspired. I don't know why. It went right through my body. And I said, I have to go quickly. And I called up 2 people to join me. And we took over. Dot loves this story. We took over. We went to the local teddy bear store and we got art supply and blah, 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 and took them over. And what do you know? They multiplied from 25 to 1,400 teddy bears. And we gave them out one by one to every child that crossed the border. And the impact was incredible. People started running towards us. It was remarkable because of the pain and sorrow they felt. And we had inherited 2 buildings in the town of Auschwitz because we'd worked on this concept for 7 years. And we've been building the story of a social incubator, etc., and working with the parliament to make it really happen. And we got there and we said, we've got to change this place into a home for the Ukrainians because, as you know, they do not know where they're going to sleep tonight. Everyone said, where am I going? What am I going to do? Where am I going to stay overnight? Hotels put up 75 people, but for 3 days. So what do you do after the 3 days when you got 2 children and one under your arm and your husband's at war? Well, we better fix that. So we created the House of Hope. But what's interesting is that Dot and Fumi and John and Becky, I see these faces in front of me. We all got together and everybody did their part. And with that, we were really successful beyond all of our imagination. We raised over $250,000 to refurbish the building. We had over 200 donations from this family. It was our group that supported the project and made it happen. I was a conduit, that's all. And we were working together. So thank you, thank you, thank you. We made it happen and we're going forward. The people are moving in. Last week they started and they are so grateful, grateful beyond the words you can imagine, because they have a place they can stay, they can be quiet, they can figure out what are they to do in the next few weeks for their lives. And we're going to start to do workshops for them on Zoom. So anytime somebody wants to do a Zoom with these people around an issue, you're more than invited. We're now setting up a peace lab. And and it's going to be in honor of Phil Helmish.
Yeah.
And we're going to, I already bought 2 computers today. Yeah, we're going for it. The room's not even finished, but we're making one step at a time a reality. And then it's going to the next phase, which is really a One Humanity Institute. What does that look like? A solutionarium for all the issues we're concerned about and a home for all the NGOs. It's a giant piece of land with many buildings that were the former barracks of the SS. So you can imagine to transform that into something that everyone can be proud of.
It's incredible, Nina. And as you're telling this story, and we know you so well, I know you so well, love you so much. The reason that you are the point person on this is the same reason why I could explain why I'm a point person for Global Silent Minute, for example, why John is a point person for Sign Network and Compassion Games, Becky, Joy Fuel, because we have to follow our hearts. And just take 30 more seconds and tell why you were absolutely drawn. Your grandmother.
The grandma story. Okay. I was going to say for 9/11, this happened to me also, where I got the message, I got to go down. I got to go down to right to the middle of ground zero. And I spent weeks there working to support the children of the parents that had died and been missing. But what's interesting is I'm doing 30, 40 years of peace work all around the world for young people. And some group of women invited me to Auschwitz. And then it came to me, that's where my lineage started. That's where my grandmother was gassed the day I was born. Yeah. This is the meant to be moment in my life, my legacy, and that I needed to stand strong with it and to erase the memories of the past so we could begin to feel the new impression of what's to occur on Mother Earth. And for my role in my life's history, this is what I needed to do.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Nina, I just want to thank you.
Oh, Becky.
I want to thank you because you demonstrate, you embody courage to step into places that frankly are concerning. I mean, frightening, and you are open to feel feelings that you wouldn't sign up for yourself. To process them so that love can come through and to transmute and become healing. And so I just want to honor that because that is so huge. It is like the center of your heart. I see it, I witness it. It touches and inspires me to have more courage in the ways that I'm moving. And so thank you for everything. I mean, it's incredible.
Thank you for understanding that. Yeah. I mean, courage is something that, you see an obstacle and you must go through it. That's all, that's life, my life anyway.
It is your life. And we've talked about that. You're an exemplar of courage, courage, the age of the heart. I mean, we are beginning to live the doctrine of the heart.
I think we each have a role to play in this great unfolding, and that happens to be my part. Yeah. But it doesn't happen without all of us all around like a jigsaw puzzle and putting it together. I love the other night, John said, it's pixels coming together. I got it. Yes, we're pixels.
Coming into focus to see a whole picture. But I want to talk, Nina, what was it like for you to make space, though, for other people to show up? I mean, one of the things is when it's your thing, right? And you're holding it so tight. I mean, it's your lineage and everything, right? It's so easy to say, whoa, 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 wait a minute now. I'm losing control. And yet somehow we were able to create a safe enough space, right? Where you could still own it, but there was room for us to show up and give to it. How did that happen?
Well, that's a fairly good question, but it's with ease, believe me, that I'm so appreciative. And maybe it's because the love I've felt before that's developed a great trust in me for these people, especially. I must say, if somebody comes at me that has a different kind of energy, it's a different story, for
Right.
sure.
I've seen that too. That's right. How you protect. This is like we're learning from nature. How we do this kind of teaming.
Yeah.
Yeah. Fascinating. My God, what a great example. We're not done. Fumi popped in here too because I was so.
She did, and she left because we have another event.
Okay, she's probably calling to reminding you got to go support
She's,
her.
like, she's doubly logged in.
Okay, all right.
Oh,
So-
blessings to everybody. Incredible. Thank you so
Thank you,
much.
Dot.
Oh,
Thank you, Nina.
incredible,
And we're
Dot.
not done. So the idea is during this whole summer, winter, depending where you are, this next 99 days, we are going to be teaming up to build the House of Hope. And whatever that means is you're going to be defining and demonstrating and showing, and we're going to be right there with you because we believe that this feeds all of our souls. Hear a story like this, to know that you could play a part in a story like this, that we can connect up. That call we had with Svetlana in Kiev, and the fact that that peace lab is being built there is going to connect up with other peace schools all over. I mean, this is a dream come true. This is what I want my kids to know we were doing.
Huh, nice.
Beautiful.
And I believe we're going to offer Poland the opportunity to have a new identity, no longer be associated with just concentration camp, but to be a place of where solutions are born for the new. And they're excited also.
God, you're rewriting history. You are rewriting history. We are transforming. That is incredible.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you, John.
Yeah, thank you. So, I mentioned the Compassion Games before. And in fact, Dot, you've been an advisor and supporter of the Compassion Games for a long time.
Love the compassion games.
Yeah, the survival of the kindest.
Exactly.
That grew out of my relationship with Hereditary Chief, Phil Lane Jr. And he's here. And he has been, if there's anybody I know who has been tirelessly saying, we need to unify, we need to bring about the recognition of the one human family that we are. And
I want to tell you a story before you go. Phil's daughter went to my youth programs in the old days, and then his cousin Wolf went with me to Brazil, for the Earth Summit. We're all intertwined for a lifetime, And then I came out to visit you from Vancouver. Yeah.
Absolutely.
So thank you.
look at that.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you, Nina. So, brother, my gosh,
Yeah.
I love to tell people about when we met in Seattle with the Seeds of Compassion, the Dalai Lama and Desmond Tutu, and then you shared with me the 16 guiding principles. And I said, wow, that is something I want to let everybody I know about that. And that beautiful summary statement that starting from within, working in a circle, in a sacred manner, we heal and develop ourselves, our relationships, and the world. And the topic for this conversation, brother, is we want to show what synergy and peace looks like.
Exactly. Brother, I sent you and I put on the chat something I just wrote up, in fact, this morning in response to this, that talks about an indigenous, again, it's just one indigenous, there's many indigenous perspective, but an indigenous long-range vision of peace through unity. I also put it in the chat, but I also sent it to you directly. If you could bring that up as possible.
I can here. Let me see if I can share my screen, Ben.
And I also, I don't know if it's the time to do it, but I also, my beloved grandson completed this video that Ben so kindly invited me to be, supportive as an ambassador for the 90 days. There we go. So just go through it really quickly. I'm not going to. So hit a few things. The ones in black. Just keep moving it up. It is my heartfelt conviction, experience, and conscious faith that we are approaching after a process of millennial manifestation of our spiritual maturity, the beginning of our young adulthood as a human family. Continue. And by the way, I've sent this in so you all have a copy. These are the.
Go down to some bold sections.
Exactly. This global civilization foretold by our indigenous prophets, including the 8th Council Fire, the return of the white buffalo, peacemaker, Quetzal, sweet medicine, black elk, the Hopi, Viracocha, and many others, Manco Capac of the Incas, is founded on the unshakable consciousness of the prior unity and oneness of a human family and all life. From this unitary consciousness naturally unfolds a realization of the equality of men and women, the balancing of extremes of wealth and poverty, the elimination of all prejudices, the unity of science and spirituality, universal education, the independent investigation of truth, and unity and diversity and unitary justice. Go ahead and continue on. And then we talk about the hoop of many hoops. There we go. That Black Elk talked about, the full consciousness and acceptance, the oneness of the human family is fundamental. It's a fundamental prerequisite for organizing and administrating the world as one home of humankind. All life, universal acceptance and realization of spiritual principles are essential to any successful attempt to establish peace on earth. This global civilization as visualized, and this is why I think we have to really take a look at what that is. A new global governing system rooted locally, organized and scaled bioregionally, and synergized globally is emerging. The members of this new global governing system must be elected in a nonpartisan, principle-centered manner. And I can say that we are in the process of manifesting the first digital nation upon Mother Earth through our indigenous people across the Americas of 80 million relatives. It's just in embryonic stage. Maybe I'll never see the full realization, but it's happening. The extremes of wealth and poverty will be balanced with a spiritual and moral understanding that every human being has a fundamental right to clean water, to drink, healthy food to eat, healthcare, adequate housing, universal education, freedom of worship and expression. This rebalance results from a recognition that each of us is part of a whole living system and designed, fashioned by our Creator to shelter the sacred flame of life and shine everlastingly with a radiant beauty. Again, with free, prior, and informed consent, very key to this. As a fundamental organizing principle, this global governance system will carry out the decisions and apply the laws or enacted, safeguarding the organic unity of the global commons. We will multiply our capacity to govern independently using blockchain, holochain, and other DLT technologies. Blockchain and holochain can perform the core functions of governing bodies and can act as recorders, organize restrictors, and incentivize structures of human activity. Smart contracts enable better structured, more inclusive decision-making, handle well-defined tasks, and crowns can conduct their supervision and coordination. Blockchain and holochain offer that potential for a systematic way to solve collective action problems. These prophecies clearly stated long before the innovation of the internet that a mechanism of world intercommunication would be devised, embracing all of Mother Earth, freed from natural hindrances and restriction and function with marvelous swiftness and perfect reality. The elders called it the everywhere spirit made physically manifest on the earth. They said all that had been covered up and hidden during the long spiritual winter time would be revealed. A new understanding of security, accountability, and trust will become transparent with honest integrity as in the past. We go on past that. I won't get into world language. Just keep it there. Science and spirituality, the two most potent forces in human life, will be reconciled, cooperate, and harmoniously developed, which has been doing for 40 years now by the American Indian Science and Engineering Society. Very important. The press under this global system, while giving full scope of the expression of the diversified views and convictions, will cease to be manipulated by vested interest, whether private or public. The press will be liberated from the influence of contending governments and peoples. A primary prerequisite for our success in this journey is our complete commitment to the unfettered and independent investigative truth for ourselves. This prerequisite is a fundamental obligation of each human being to acquire knowledge and understanding with our own eyes and with the eyes of others. This includes careful, in-depth reflection, consideration, investigating the source through which we receive our news. And here's the economic resources of the world when we end war and begin peace on Earth by 2030. It will be organized for the welfare of all members of the human family, all life. It will ensure its sources of natural materials will be sustainable, harmoniously developed, and fully utilized without waste. Its markets will be coordinated and developed. The distribution of its products and services will be equitably regulated. As a result, poverty on the one hand and gross accumulation of ownership on the other will disappear. Racial amity, understanding, cooperation will replace national rivalry and prejudice. The causes of the religious strife will be permanently removed. Economic barriers, restrictions will be abolished entirely, and the excessive distinction between classes will be obliterated. Racial, religious, and ethnic animosity, rivalries, and hatred of each will cease. The enormous resources and energy dissipated and wasted on conflict, economic, political, armed, will be dedicated to extending the range of scientific inventions and technological developments, the increase in the productivity of humankind, and terminating disease. And here's where we're going. Raising the standard of physical and systemic health. The harmonization, integration, optimization of the human brain, we're just beginning. The promulgation of human life in an ethical manner. The ecological sustainable development of the unused, unsuspected resources of Mother Earth, and they're there. The furtherance of any other agency or healing process that can stimulate the intellectual, moral, cultural, artistic, and spiritual life of all members of our human family. In summary, these promises foretell a global oneness, encompassing participation of the entire human family everywhere, all at once, and exercising wise, respectful, sustainable, and harmonious development of our vast global resources. A global civilization where the life-enhancing indigenous cultural, spiritual wisdom, teachings, sacred ceremonies, medicines, prophecies, and profound understanding of Mother Earth's natural laws will help illuminate all members of our human family. A global civilization that blends and embodies the ideals of both East and West, liberated from the curse of war and its misery, and focused on the sustainable, harmonious development of all the available sources of clean energy on the surface of Mother Earth. A global governance system where the force is the servant of justice, rooted in love and compassion, and all life is sustained by the universal recognition of one creator. A global commons is a goal to which our human family is impelled by the uniform forces of life is undeniably and swiftly moving. And there's more to that, John.
Wow.
It's enough.
Wow.
It's enough, but there's more there. I put it there as well. I've shared with you the video whenever it happens to be. Share it later or whenever.
Well, I'm really trying to get somewhere here, though, brother.
Okay.
Thank you. There's a lot there. And it's incredible your capacity to articulate such a full, deep vision. And I want to talk about the synergy with that.
Yes.
You've let me into the indigenous world. A Jewish kid from Brooklyn who dreamed of what it would like one day to live in the Pacific Northwest came here and found you. Mm-hmm. And so many of us recognized the essential need to heal our history with indigenous people.
Yes.
And you've been leading that and making that possible for me personally, my family, and so many of us here. Mm-hmm. Now, you talk about sovereignty, right? One of the ways that we talk about this digital nation, why this is potentially so powerful, when Jonathan Granoff talks about Westphalia in 1648, right? The nation-state model was set up with the assumption that we are all in different territories, different land. And this is where nationalism and has grown out of that thinking. Well, look what's happening here. We're not connected by our lands. We're connected by our values. We're not tied to those places anymore. And like one of the projects that Dwayne Elgin's putting forward, Earth Voice, would allow us, the people of the Earth, to have a voice. And you mentioned the blockchain. All those technologies could be used to be able to gain the kind of authority we need to actually say, this is the voice of the people. And you're doing that for the indigenous world. How can we build the partnership with indigenous nation like that you're talking about, a digital nation, to be able to really unify? And for so many of us, there's shame and guilt with the way we've behaved in the past. I've never seen you want retribution. But how can we come to you and how can we work together in unprecedented ways?
Well, I think that the foundation of this is to come to agreement on guiding principles, first principles that we can all agree to. And I think there's many, many out there. The Charter of Compassion is one. Mm-hmm. There's the Earth Charter. There's our 16 principles. There's principles of consultation. There's those basic building blocks than which we have to build this new global civilization. And I think that as well, it's for each one of us, including every bit myself, as much as anybody else, of course, is that we have to let go of this intergenerational trauma and pain we're carrying. That we have to be able to truly be peace. We can hear it, we can talk about it. Black Hawk talks about it. First there's the inner peace, and there's a peace between us, and so forth. So this inner peace, this really truly understanding that we are, each of us, an intimate part of this creation. We've been an intimate part of it since its very beginning, the prior unity and oneness of our human family, that truly, and sometimes our hurts prevent us from understanding this, that every human child is our child. That we all love our children, and we love our generations, and we love our quote unquote but now we have to extend that to become our human family. Our human family, no more. And one of the other teachings, the last one I'll leave you with, brother, there's so many wonderful relatives here, and we have so much time in these 99 days to share. Well, I guess some of the days have already passed, but really, that this whole time, that each of us might truly 24/7, as much as we can, think peace, be peace. And of course, for myself, I truly believe that where we're going, where this is leading us, is to unifying our human family. That's fundamental, to come to that sacred understanding that we're one human family. Okay, from that, when we realize the hurt of one is the hurt of all, and what's going on now, we've heard described of all these relatives, and which really breaks my heart, and I say this with utmost respect because it's happening in all faiths, is this is happening between relatives who are Christians, and it's happening between relatives of the same religions against different religions and so forth. And so, but when we realize we have one creator, mine's not better than yours. We are each a sovereignty, ancient, imperishable, and everlasting. And this is what we're up to right now, I believe. So I would just say that brother, you're my brother, and anything that comes in between my heart and soul that I you might say don't react with love and compassion is my own lack of maturity spiritually. I mean, that's my lack of spiritual maturity. Because if we're truly emerging from our adolescence spiritually as a human family into our adulthood, which we are, without question, I've seen it in my own life. I have certainly been emerging from probably my babyhood, the last years. But as we go along and do that, we realize, that we all, as we get older and get grandparents, if you talk about an elder, they're strong, courageous. If I was talking about any of our sisters, Dot, Maver, if I was speaking about Nina, and I talked about how they were, who am I talking about, a man or a woman? It's the spiritual qualities that count. It's these feminine spiritual qualities, and I don't want to get caught up in common terminology, but those qualities of kindness and compassion and thoughtfulness and wisdom and all those parts of us as human beings are so needed.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I know. One of the things that's been such a core at the heart of One World, the sacred giving tree in the center of this, has been the Global Fire Ceremony Room. And we are working to build a network, a platform upon which we can keep this going. And yesterday we were talking about how, your guiding principles about working in a circle. We're going to have circles. And the Global Fire Ceremony Room becomes a Global Fire Ceremony Circle for us during this 99 days. And I want and encourage all of us to get to know each other, spend time with each other, go deeper with each other. The work that's been happening there, the ceremonies that have been done there, have been astounding. And they're going to be here in this One World, this next generation of what we're going to be doing together over this 99 days. So thank you, brother. Thank you for making yourself so accessible and loving and supportive. In fact, let me bring my incredible wife on here because
Oh, I love that. I see her.
I know, I
And
can-
she has her hair in a different way. Oh, there she is. You know, I wasn't sure for a minute because I could see a little tiny picture of you if you turned your hair yellow. I mean, orange. But now I see you just have your hair wrapped.
Summer, I'm trying to unmute you. Can you unmute yourself? Oh,
Yes, I can. Hi.
Hi, hi, hi.
Hi. It's so wonderful to be here with all of you.
Yeah.
Yes. What an incredible synergy ride. I was just sending Ben Bowler a private message. I'm floating in World Unity Week. Wow. Like, I'm just like, oh my goodness. It's been so incredible what's been happening under the golden willow tree the last 3 days. That's where I've been. And just like deep bows of the incredible synergy and caring, humble, here you belong, that is like in the ethers, and it's happening through so many people, so many. And I love you, dear brother Phil, so much. And your relationship, it's such a key relationship, you and John, and what has unfolded between the two of you has catapulted both of your dreams. And I feel that about Ben too. Like, there are key relationships going on that catalyze so many dreams that are in this space. Dot Maver. I mean, there's something about people that come together in this way that literally shoots love and compassion and more possibility for others that I think is here. And I see it. I see it in you, Ben. I know what you're doing right now. You're literally looking out for someone right now, and it's happening. And then boom, like a magic, beautiful thing is, and Dot. And, seriously, it's in so many. And I think that's so the incredible, like, percolating healing that's happening this week.
yeah, beautifully said. Beautifully said. It's that potential. It's here. It's just.
And it's not even potential. It's already happened. It's like it's already manifested.
Oh yeah, no, I see it manifesting.
And like
Where
the
do we
pooling,
go?
yeah. And the pooling, I think, is a really, really key thing. Like, ooh, where is the pool? I'm like, World Unity Week, all the 23 Zoom rooms. Where is like the vibration of pool, synergy pool happening the most? I want to be there. Like, that's fun. That's the funnest. It's really, really, whoa.
Whoa.
Wow.
And one place I know where it is where humanity's rising. So I want to bring Mr. Garrison into our conversation here. So where you are, Jim, and
Well,
there
as
you are.
as you're pulling Jim in, John, can we just say that Ben named it on day one? He said it isn't about we're hoping that one day. And Brother Phil, you say this so beautifully, so eloquently also. We're in it, as you said, Summer.
Right
Day
here,
one
right here.
has happened right here, right
Right.
now. We're
Right
in
now.
it.
Right
Yeah.
now.
Totally. Yes.
Can I
And
just
the
What these
and
2
the
years
99
looks like.
days. And the 99 days, Dot, right? Like, I don't know about you, but sometimes in Under the Golden Willow Tree, I'm like, I don't know if I'm in the 8th day, the 5th day, or the 99th day, or 2030 for that matter. Like, it feels like it's all here. It's
The
all
people-
right here. Like,
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Brother John, just quickly, can I just say, Chief Phil, that is a remarkable, beautiful, important, and significant document. We know how much effort and time and love goes into creating something like that. So I just want to acknowledge you as you were reading out those bold bits, just to acknowledge the importance and the significance of that for these 99 days, for right now, and for the road ahead. So, deep bows and acknowledgement of you, Chief Phil.
Thank you so much, dear brother. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
And I've been,
You make it possible.
I've included your 16 Indigenous guiding principles, Phil. We've used them in all of our organizational meetings. They're fantastic. Thank you.
God, that's what peace through synergy looks like, right there. All right. So, Mr. Garrison, I want to spotlight you here. I'm going to highlight you. Let me get you on the screen here. Hold on. Let me see where you are, Jim. There you are. And I want to talk about what you're doing with Humanity Rising and what the synergizing of Humanity Rising looks like, as we've been talking about, and your dreams for that. You've come a long way.
We've come a long way, baby.
Yeah, man.
And before we jump in, though, John, I just want to note and acknowledge the extraordinary work that Nina and Dodd and others have done on the transformation of Auschwitz. You know, I can't think of a darker moment in human history. And I can't think of a more noble transformation than to turn the headquarters or the barracks of the SS into a peace beehive, basically, and world unity epicenter. So, Nina, the fact that you were born when your grandmother was taken during those times, and the fact that you have come to this point in your life, I think is a very profound synchronicity that, in a very striking way, to me, embodies the kind of transformation and journey that the entire human race has to tread. And I think the agony that we all feel, even with the news today of the Supreme Court and Roe v. Wade in the United States, which is going to deprive women of the constitutional right over the sovereignty of their bodies, is an indication of how far we have to go to emulate the transformation that you are undertaking in that extraordinarily hellish place that is also possibly a place to be transformed into heavenly vibration. So anyway, I just wanted to acknowledge that, John, as we begin our discussion, because this is the kind of work, and I know, Ben, you and John are working with the 99 days and World Unity Week and everything, the Week of Peace coming up in September. I mean, you guys are doing it. And, and this brings me to another observation around, Humanity Rising, but also as a way to acknowledge the extraordinary achievement. I think there's only one thing left for the movement, if you think about it. We're covering every conceivable issue. And Paul Hawken and his work has detailed all the millions of NGOs and organizations around the world that are doing work. The one thing we have yet to do is unify. And for whatever sets of reasons, the progressive movement finds that almost impossible. And we don't need to go into the whys and wherefores of that, but I think that what you all are doing and what Humanity Rising is seeking to do is the one option left for the movement. And to the degree that we can do it successfully as the crisis around us deepens, we will bring into the great global coherence that constitutes our planetary ecosystem, as broken as it is, a new catalytic ingredient that could be redemptive for the world as we know it. And I would put it even more strongly. I believe that if we do not do that, and the community of light doesn't unify in a way that is material, observable, and compelling, I doubt very seriously that the world is going to save itself on its own with the existing consciousness. So that means that there's a real accountability for all of us as we make our choices. And I just wanted to say Ben, John, Nina, all of you, Summer, I love you. And for me, this is the only game in town.
Yeah, yeah.
And I really mean that. I don't mean that as a hyperbolic statement. I mean it as a serious national security issue.
Well, Jim, you are so brilliant and you so clearly articulate this challenge. And that's the one we're leaning into with these synergy projects. That's the very place we want to get to. Where have we been stuck before? And I was learning from Dr. Tamsin Woolley Barker, the author of Teeming. She gave 6 courses here on World Unity Week. And she says, it's not the elements, it's the patterns. We're stuck in patterns that keep us apart, that don't allow us to unify with new kinds of agreements. And I just use this example of what we're doing in the Sign Alliance as just, it's kind of it breaks the pattern. When they built Facebook, they figured everyone was going to keep their page to themselves and they're going to lock it down and protect it. The idea that people would have the trust, like you've done, Jim, and so many of us have done, that we give each other permission. We grant each other the trust to then convene and converge and make things possible that would not have been possible without it. So that agreement formation process, the patterns, she used this term about symbiotic upscaling. Symbiotic upscaling. And so
Love
that's
that.
what Sign is doing with Humanity Rising. And when I say Sign, that's not me and Summer. That's all the members that have been there behind what you've been doing and in support of what you're doing. And that's the dimension, that's the gray zone for me, is how we carry that through in tactical and operational ways to actually reach the millions and millions of people. I see we've been prototyping, Ben. We've been getting ready for a big party that's coming our way. Because people are hungry for hope. They want to hear the stories we're telling. So with the thought that we can be a part of Humanity Rising even more, and then that vision of a 2.0 Humanity Rising, and the idea that connecting this kind of convergence experience that we've been having with the Humanity Rising experience and connecting them into the ongoing learning necessary through Ubiquity University. I mean, it's just a beautiful fit. I see that this is another example of what peace through unity looks like.
Absolutely. And I would add, John, brilliantly said, by the way, thank you. I would add that as the global situation continues to get increasingly turbulent, people are going to become much more, I would almost say, desperate for what we're offering. And we need to bear that in mind. We need to understand, everyone, that this is a historic responsibility that we're taking up here. And you're right to indicate that we're just prototyping. I love that. Nina, you're just prototyping. And that keeps us innocent. It keeps us open. And it keeps us collaborative. Just to know that we're prototyping something within the context of all the rigidities of our world. We are, in some ways, playfully allowing the spirit to, as Rilke would say, ruthlessly break through us to create the future. And that's what changes the world. And just to say a word about the genesis of Humanity Rising, it was very much at another dark moment as in this case, the pandemic was descending on us. And just remember back to the spring of 2020, we were all under lockdown. We'd never been under lockdown before. All of a sudden, within weeks, we're all in our homes, not knowing what to do. And then we were told we got to engage in social distancing. We had to put these masks on, and my God, what was going on? And, was this the end of the world as we know it? And so we at Ubiquity were pondering, what if there's a crisis here? This is, I guess, my modus operandi for life. Wherever there's a crisis, I've sort of been trained myself to look for the opportunity. Where's the opportunity in this? It's just like, where's the opportunity in an SS barracks? Well, if you think about it, basically you go to your opposite. That's what I love about what you've done, Nina. It's pure Jungian depth psychology. The world works in the interplay of opposites. And you're going to be successful because you brought those opposites together. Well, we in our own small way did the same thing. If everybody's under lockdown, if everybody's in isolation, let's bring everybody together through Zoom. And we did it with all the, naivete of any prototyping endeavor. And the next thing we knew, we had a tsunami on our hands with tens of thousands of people joining and hundreds of organizations and people from 130 countries. And we weren't quite sure what to do other than just to keep going. So initially 7 days a week, we were broadcasting and just allowing people a free space, a global commons to come together. And we've now gone through 500 sessions, and we're building partnerships and keeping it as collaborative as we possibly can. John and the Sign Network have been very gracious and generous in enabling us to live stream out there, which has multiplied 100-fold our natural capacity just on our own, and has been a demonstration to me that the only way forward is holding hands. And that's what we want to do. And Ben came in and John came in, and next thing we were beginning to realize that between what all of us were doing, if we started a strategic intention of synergizing them in increasingly sophisticated and integrated way, we could start to build that which has never been built before among the progressive movements. And that is basically a collaborative framework of autonomous groups coming together at one level in their own self-interest, but another level in the mutual interest, because they're discovering that their self-interests are so powerfully and profoundly aligned. So as we begin to evolve now humanity 2.0, what is now possible is to build on the little 2 hours a day that we've been doing so far, and build channels sort of to create a progressive CNN. Just imagine if there was an alternative to Fox News that was progressive, that was enlightenment, that didn't even have an editorial policy. Rather, it had an ethos of global unity, an ethos of humanity rising. But the hundreds of organizations that were creating the content for the channels were freely expressing what they wanted to express in a world of where 100 flowers are encouraged to bloom. And then we did something that's never yet been done. And that is to link broadcasting with educational content and events to support people to learn and integrate in real time in a collaborative framework what they know and what they can do together to bring new energy into a world that's crashing around all around us. And so that's the impulse that's beginning to emerge out of the 350 organizations that have come together for Humanity Rising, and all the thousands of people that have been attending our events in an ongoing way. And it's a beautiful thing to see how very naturally the Spirit guides, and really all you need to do is follow.
Yeah. Beautifully said, Jim. Well, we've got 99 days or 92 left. I'm not sure what the exact number is, but we want to see what Humanity Rising Synergized looks like. And that's what's so appealing to me, is because we do have the trust. We can build with abundance, with the love and the concern, and we know this moment in time is calling us like we've never been before. This is like, one of those moments you pull out all the stops. So
Yeah.
we're doing that. We're doing that.
And a vision that I have, that it's been growing in me, which John knows about, and I think Ben is, if you think about everything that you folks
Sorry to interrupt you. We're going to keep this conversation going, but John's got to end the live stream because there's another one